Detective Michael Anderson stared at the strange metal box on his desk. The morning sun streaming through his office window made the box's surface shimmer with an odd bluish tint. He had found it hidden behind a false wall in the old Los Angeles Police Department archives, where it had sat untouched for over 75 years. "You won't believe what's inside," said Linda Martinez, the department's tech expert. She placed a small device next to the box, and suddenly, the air above his desk filled with floating images. Michael's coffee cup slipped from his hand and crashed to the floor. The images showed Los Angeles in 1947, but they weren't normal photographs or videos. They were three-dimensional scenes that moved and shifted like real life frozen in time. "That's not the crazy part," Linda said, her fingers moving through the air to control the images. "Look at the date stamp and location." The scene changed to show a vacant lot on Norton Avenue. Michael's heart started beating faster. He knew this place from countless case files. It was where Elizabeth Short's body had been found on January 15, 1947. The Black Dahlia murder scene, preserved in perfect detail. "This isn't possible," he whispered, walking around his desk to view the scene from different angles. "These images, they're from before the police arrived. Look at the position of the shadows. This is early morning, maybe 6 a.m. Linda nodded. "And look at this." She moved her hand again, and symbols appeared in the air. Strange, flowing characters that didn't look like any human language. "We ran it through every known language database," she explained. Nothing matched. Then we found this. She pressed something on the device, and the symbols transformed into English text. Asterisk observation log 947 Earth. Subject: Human Violence Pattern Study. Location: Los Angeles, California. Observer: Research Team Delta. Warning: contains evidence of termination event asterisk. Michael sat down heavily in his chair. "Are you telling me that aliens were watching us in 1947? "Yes," Linda finished. "And they recorded everything about the Black Dahlia murder." "Everything." Detective Anderson. Michael looked at the floating images again. 75 years of questions, dead ends, and theories about Elizabeth Short's death. And the answers had been sitting in their building the whole time, hidden away in a box that wasn't made on Earth. "There's more," Linda said quietly. "The log entries, they show the observers knew what was going to happen. They watched it happen. They didn't stop it." Michael felt a chill run down his spine. He thought about all the times he'd wished for a breakthrough in this case, all the nights he'd spent reviewing old files and interviews. Now he had his breakthrough, but it came with a terrible question. What kind of beings would watch a murder and do nothing to stop it? "Get me everything from this box," he said, standing up. "Every image, every log entry. And Linda, don't tell anyone else about this yet. If what we're looking at is real, it would change everything," she finished. "Not just the case, everything we think we know about 1947, about being alone in the universe." Michael picked up the fallen coffee cup, his mind racing. Elizabeth Short's murder wasn't just an unsolved crime anymore. It was proof that humans weren't alone, and that their watchers had chosen to remain hidden, even in the face of terrible violence. The question was, Rebecca Thompson's field notes appeared in the air above Detective Anderson's desk, her neat handwriting transforming from alien symbols into clear English. Linda had worked through the night to decode more of the box's contents, and what they found made Michael's skin crawl. Asterisk January 14, 1947. Earth date: "I have maintained my cover as a local newspaper reporter. The humans suspect nothing. Today's observation focuses on their entertainment district, specifically the Crown Grill. Subject Elizabeth Short frequents this establishment. Her behavior patterns match our violence prediction matrix with a 98.7% accuracy rating asterisk." "She knew," Michael said, running his hands through his graying hair. "This Rebecca Thompson, whoever she really was, knew Elizabeth Short was in danger." Linda pulled up another image. This one showed the crown grille from above, as if someone had been watching from an invisible platform in the sky. Inside, they could see Elizabeth Short sitting at the bar. A man in a dark suit sat 3 stools away, watching her. "Look at this," Linda said, zooming in on strange markings that floated around the man's image. Their technology was analyzing everyone in the room. Heart rates, stress levels, chemical signatures. They could literally see evil building in someone. The next entry appeared. Asterisk subject displays elevated aggression markers. Cross-reference with previous violent crime patterns shows 99.2% probability of harmful intent. Protocol demands non-interference. Request guidance asterisk. Michael slammed his fist on the desk. They just watched. They had all this power, all this technology, and they just watched. More images flickered through the air. Elizabeth leaving the bar, the man following her. Rebecca's invisible cameras tracking them both through the dark streets of Los Angeles. Each moment time-stamped, each movement recorded in perfect, haunting detail. Asterisk emergency protocol override request. Denied. Civilization Development Protection Act in effect. Maintain observation only. Do not interfere asterisk. There's something else, Linda said softly. She brought up a new set of images, these showing Rebecca Thompson herself. She looked human, perfectly human. But the images showed what lay beneath the disguise. Iridescent skin, eyes with pupils that shifted like liquid mercury. She tried to save her, Linda continued. Look at these readings, her vital signs, her stress indicators. She was fighting every instinct to follow those protocols. The final entry from that night appeared. Asterisk I have failed in my duty. My emotional contamination is now complete. I can no longer maintain objective observation of human species. The sound of Elizabeth Short's screams will echo in my memory until the end of my existence. Request immediate extraction from Earth assignment asterisk. Michael stood and walked to his office window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, right now, were there more watchers, more observers making notes while crimes happened below them. We need to find them, he said finally. Not just to solve this case anymore. We need answers. Why did they leave this box behind? Why can we suddenly read their language? They'd wanted us to find this. Linda nodded, pulling up one final image. It showed Rebecca Thompson's face, her human face, staring directly into the camera. Her eyes held a sadness that transcended species. Look at the date on this image, Linda said quietly. It's from yesterday. FBI agent Jennifer Hayes arrived at Michael's office early the next morning. She had driven straight from Washington after receiving his coded message about the box. Her face turned pale as she watched the holographic images play out in the air. William Cooper, she whispered, staring at the man from the bar. The alien technology had captured every detail of his face. Of course, it was William Cooper. He was practically untouchable back then. Michael nodded, owner of the biggest construction company in LA. Friend to half the police force. No wonder the original investigation went nowhere. The images showed Cooper leading Elizabeth Short to his car. The alien cameras had followed them to a house in Hancock Park, one of the city's wealthiest neighborhoods. What happened inside made both detectives turn away from the projection. Stop it, Jennifer said sharply. Linda quickly shut off the feed. The aliens recorded everything, Michael said, his voice rough. Every moment, every scream. And they did nothing because of some protocol about not interfering with our development. Jennifer picked up a strange metallic sphere from the box. It hummed softly in her hand. But they kept the evidence. They stored it where we would eventually find it. Why? New text appeared in the air. Asterisk final report. Earth observation post Lay 47. The murder of Elizabeth Short represents a critical failure in our non-interference doctrine. Recommendation: implementation of limited intervention protocol in cases of extreme violence. Humanity's capacity for both cruelty and justice must be reevaluated asterisk. Look at this, Linda said, bringing up another image. It showed William Cooper at a police station the day after the murder. Behind him, barely visible to human eyes but crystal clear in the alien footage, stood Rebecca Thompson. Her disguise was perfect, but the readings around her showed intense emotional distress. Subject Cooper's connections to local law enforcement ensure no human justice will be served. This represents a fundamental flaw in current observation protocols. Humans possess the moral framework to reject such violence, yet our presence arguably enables it through inaction. There's more, Linda said. Rebecca Thompson didn't just disappear after filing this report. She stayed in Los Angeles. She watched Cooper live his life, built his fortune, die peacefully in his bed in 1979. She watched his son take over the company, and his grandson after that. Michael looked up sharply. Cooper Construction. They're building the new police headquarters right now. The grandson. James Cooper. Jennifer finished. And guess what we found when we analyzed his company's construction sites for the past year? She pulled out her phone and showed them a photo. It was a shaped piece of metal, identical to the box on Michael's desk. They're everywhere, she said. Dozens of them. Hidden in foundations, sealed in walls. All over Los Angeles. All waiting to be found. But why now? Michael asked. Why are we suddenly able to read their language, see their technology? Jennifer's phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her face went white. Because, she said, turning the screen so they could see, Rebecca Thompson just walked into the FBI office in Washington, and she's asking to speak to us. The room in the FBI building was silent except for the soft hum of alien technology. Rebecca Thompson sat across from Michael and Jennifer, looking exactly as she had in 1947. Thomas Richardson, the alien ambassador, stood by the window, his human disguise equally perfect. We have lived among you for centuries, Rebecca said, her voice carrying a slight musical tone that hadn't been there in her recorded notes. Always watching, never interfering. The murder of Elizabeth Short changed everything. You let her die, Michael said, his voice hard. Yes. Rebecca's face showed real pain. Our laws were absolute. The development of every species must proceed naturally without outside influence, even in cases of extreme violence. Thomas turned from the window, but Rebecca's emotional response to the murder proved something we hadn't expected. Our observers were becoming more human. They were developing empathy beyond their training. The door opened, and James Cooper walked in. The grandson of William Cooper looked shaken, his usual confidence gone. Is it true? He asked. Everything about my grandfather. Rebecca nodded. We have given your government all the evidence, not just about Elizabeth Short. Your grandfather killed 3 other women before her, 7 after. Our observers documented everything. My God. James sank into a chair. The company, all our wealth, was built on murder, Jennifer finished. Your grandfather used his construction sites to hide his victims. The alien observation posts recorded it all. Which brings us to now, Thomas said. Our presence can no longer remain hidden. Too many observation posts have been discovered. Too many questions are being asked. Michael leaned forward. How many observers are there? In Los Angeles. 57. Rebecca's eyes met his. Worldwide. Thousands. All of them carrying the same burden I've carried since 1947. Watching. Recording. Never helping. Until now, Thomas added. Rebecca's experience with the Short case led to decades of debate among our people. Many of us argued that true species development must include moral growth. By never intervening, we might be stunting that growth. James Cooper stood suddenly. I want to make this right, he said. Whatever it takes. The company, the money, use it all. Rebecca smiled for the first time. That's exactly what we hope to hear. You see, we're not just revealing ourselves to expose old crimes. We're here to propose a partnership. She placed another metal sphere on the table. It projected images of crime scenes, murderers, victims, all captured by alien observers over decades. "We have evidence that could solve thousands of cold cases," she said. "But more importantly, we want to change our protocols, work with human law enforcement, prevent these crimes before they happen." "The world isn't ready for this," Jennifer said quietly. "The world is never ready for change," Thomas replied. "But humanity has grown. You're ready to face your darkness and work to overcome it. The question is, will you help us change too?" The sphere on the table pulsed with soft blue light, waiting for their answer. The alien archive room stretched endlessly before Michael and Jennifer. Rows of metal boxes lined the walls, each containing memories of crimes they had witnessed but never stopped. "Our first observer arrived on Earth in 1692, Rebecca said as she led them through the room. "Salem, Massachusetts. We thought we were studying justice. Instead, we watched innocent women die." She stopped at a section marked 1947 and pulled out another box. Elizabeth Short's case was different. For the first time, one of us broke down. I broke down. The box opened, revealing not evidence, but personal logs. Rebecca's private thoughts during her time watching Elizabeth Short. "We thought we were superior," she continued. "More advanced, more civilized. We had moved past violence, past crime. But we had also moved past something else, the drive to help others despite the rules." Images filled the air around them. Elizabeth Short's last day played out like a movie. But this time, they saw Rebecca in the background of every scene, standing in the bar, walking on the street, outside Cooper's house. "I heard her screams," Rebecca said softly. "I stood there, following our protocols, our precious rules about non-interference, and I realized that our advanced civilization had forgotten something fundamental about life, the need to protect it." Jennifer picked up one of the logs. "You wrote that humans were primitively beautiful in our dedication to justice. Because you never stopped trying," Rebecca replied. "Even when the case goes cold, even when decades pass, there's always someone like you, looking for answers, seeking justice." Michael watched as new images appeared, decades of detectives examining the Short case. His own face appeared among them. "We had eliminated crime on our world," Thomas added from the doorway. "But we did it by removing choice, by controlling every aspect of our society. Watching humanity, we saw another way. You choose to be better. You fight for justice not because you must, but because you believe in it." Rebecca touched one of the boxes, and the room filled with the sounds of a police radio from 1947. When we heard the officers finding Elizabeth's body, their reactions, their immediate drive to find her killer, we realized our mistake. We had confused peace with justice. "And now?" Jennifer asked. "Now we want to learn from you," Thomas said. "Your capacity for empathy, your dedication to justice. These are not primitive traits. They are the foundations of true civilization." Rebecca closed the box gently. "Elizabeth Short's murder changed us forever. We realized that watching evil and doing nothing doesn't make you advanced. It makes you complicit." Rebecca's personal logs floated in the air of Michael's office, her words now translated into English. These weren't official reports. They were her private thoughts, never meant to be shared with her superiors. January 14, 1947, 11:42 p.m. "I followed Protocol 7 today. Observed only. Did nothing. Elizabeth Short will die tonight because I did nothing. The man, Cooper, has murder in his eyes. My scanners show his intent. I could stop this with a single word. Instead, I write these useless notes *. Michael watched Rebecca's face as her past words filled the room. Even now, decades later, the pain looked fresh in her eyes. January 15, 1947, 2:17 a.m. "I broke protocol. Not enough to save her, just enough to damn myself. I knocked on Cooper's door. I made a noise. I tried to distract him. Elizabeth almost got away. Almost. My interference log will show this violation. I expect to be removed from Earth observation duty immediately, asterisk. But they didn't remove you, Jennifer said softly. Rebecca shook her head. No, because something unprecedented happened. My supervisor agreed with me. Then his supervisor agreed. The ripples went all the way up our command structure. The next log entry appeared. Asterisk January 15, 1947. 6:00 a.m. They found her body. The human police are here now. They care so much. They're angry. Determined. They don't even know her, but they want justice. My people call this primitive emotional behavior. I call it beautiful, asterisk. I made copies of everything, Rebecca continued. Every moment. Every detail. I hid them in those boxes around the city. Insurance, I told myself. But really, it was guilt. Guilt and hope that someday, someone would find them. Would understand. A final log entry appeared. Asterisk January 16, 1947. Midnight. I request any future observer who reads this to consider, what is the cost of perfect observation? We pride ourselves on our advanced civilization, our perfect protocols. But today I watched a woman die because of those protocols. I watched evil triumph because of our rules. Perhaps humans are more advanced than us in ways we've forgotten how to measure, asterisk. That entry changed everything, Thomas said from the doorway. It became required reading for all observers. The beginning of our transformation. Rebecca stood and walked to the window. Elizabeth Short's death broke me, but it also broke something in our entire civilization. Our certainty, our superiority. We started to question everything. And now? Michael asked. Now we're ready to learn from you, she said, to remember what we forgot. The simple truth that sometimes you have to break the rules to do what's right. The Los Angeles courthouse was packed. After 75 years, the Black Dahlia murder case was finally getting its day in court. Not for a criminal trial. William Cooper was long dead, but for a hearing that would change history. James Cooper stood before the judge, his voice steady. Your Honor, on behalf of the Cooper family and Cooper Construction, I ask the court to formally acknowledge William Cooper's guilt in the murder of Elizabeth Short and his other victims. The alien evidence played on screens around the courtroom. Perfect, undeniable proof of Cooper's crimes. The audience watched in stunned silence as decades of mystery unraveled before them. Furthermore, James continued, I am converting Cooper Construction into a victims' rights foundation. Every dollar of our family's wealth will go to helping solve cold cases and supporting victims' families. Michael sat between Rebecca and Jennifer, watching justice unfold. The alien observers had come forward across the world now, offering their evidence in thousands of unsolved cases. But this case, the Black Dahlia, was special. It was where everything changed. The court accepts this evidence, the judge declared. William Cooper's guilt in the murder of Elizabeth Short is now a matter of legal record. Ms. Short's family can finally know the full truth of what happened to their loved one. Elizabeth's niece, Mary Short Peterson, now an elderly woman, wiped tears from her eyes. My aunt can rest now, she said softly. We all can. After the hearing, Rebecca led Michael and Jennifer to Elizabeth's grave. She placed a Black Dahlia flower on the headstone. A real one, not the nickname the papers had given Elizabeth. I brought flowers here every year since 1947, she said. Sometimes following the rules isn't enough. Sometimes you have to listen to your heart, even if it takes decades to make things right. Michael looked at the fresh carved addition to the headstone. Case solved. 2025. Justice knows no time. Jennifer placed a hand on the stone. What happens now? Now, Rebecca said, we work together. No more watching from the shadows. No more protocols that prevent us from helping. Humanity has shown us a better way. As they walked away, Michael looked back one last time. For 75 years, the Black Dahlia case had haunted Los Angeles. Now it would be remembered not just as a tragedy, but as the moment when two civilizations learned they needed each other to become better. 1 year after the Black Dahlia case was officially closed, Michael Anderson stood in the new Joint Human-Alien Justice Center. The building rose from the same ground where Cooper Construction once stood, its design a blend of human and alien architecture. Rebecca walked beside him through the main hall, where images of solved cold cases lined the walls. Elizabeth Short's photo held the central spot, the case that changed everything. 253 cold cases solved in the past year, Rebecca said. Families who finally got answers, killers who couldn't hide anymore. They entered the operations room, where human detectives worked alongside alien observers. The aliens no longer hid behind disguises. Their true forms, tall, silvery beings with iridescent skin, moved freely among their human partners. Jennifer Hayes, now Director of Human-Alien Operations, greeted them at the main console. The Cooper Foundation just approved funding for 5 more justice centers across the country, she said. James Cooper is making sure his grandfather's legacy becomes something good. On the main screen, teams around the world reported their progress. Paris, London, Tokyo, Sydney, everywhere. Humans and aliens work together to solve crimes and prevent new ones. Elizabeth would have liked this, Rebecca said softly. Her death changed 2 civilizations, made us both better. The center's AI system, built with a combination of human and alien technology, displayed its daily report. Violent crime rates had dropped by 60% in areas with active human-alien patrols. More importantly, prevention programs had stopped countless potential crimes before they happened. Michael watched a young alien observer working with a human detective, teaching her how to use their scanning technology. The detective, in turn, was explaining the importance of human intuition and empathy in solving cases. We thought we were coming to study humanity, Rebecca said. Instead, humanity taught us. Every murder we prevented, every family we helped, it all started with Elizabeth Short, with learning that sometimes the most advanced thing you can do is simply care. A black dahlia flower sat in a vase below Elizabeth's photo, fresh as the day it bloomed. Rebecca changed it every week, keeping her promise to never forget. The hardest lesson, she continued, wasn't learning to break protocol. It was admitting that humans understood something we had forgotten. That justice isn't just about rules and observations. It's about standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. As the sun set over Los Angeles, its light caught the building's alien metals, sending rainbow patterns across the walls. In the distance, more justice centers were under construction, each one a testament to how far both species had come. The Black Dahlia case was finally closed, but its impact would echo through human and alien history forever. 2 civilizations, brought together by a tragedy, working to make sure no one else would have to suffer in silence while others simply watched.